Coming up next on Channel 6 television, Grassy Roots with Dr. Jim Carey and Beth Overgaauw. A show which will guide you down paths to healthier living by simply adjusting your eating habits. Stay tuned to Channel 6 for Grassy Roots. Hi, welcome to another episode of Grassy Roots. I'm Beth Overgaauw and I'm here with Dr. Jim Carey. Hello, Dr. Jim.
Hi, Beth.
And we are here today to share with you some more information about the whys and hows of being a raw living foods lifestyle advocate. And
let's just talk about letting the body heal itself.
Okay. That's the why or the how of being a raw living.
That would be the why. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah. Because the how, we share the how too.
Mm-hmm. That's our kitchen episodes and things like that.
So,
but the why is most important.
Why is really important.
Why would I want to live on rabbit food?
Exactly. I mean, people ask me why. Why would you want to do that?
The answer is right there in front of you. You got the book open. You got my 13 Steps to Raw Living Foods Success Guide, page 1, chapter 1. What to say?
What is the basic cause of disease?
Toxemia and deficiencies.
Deficiency in our diet in particular.
Well, nutritional deficiencies in our body, Beth. Because we're sort of, when we eat the standard American diet, we're sort of on this downward spiral loop. And the worse we get, the worse we get. Because what's happening is, with the toxins we're putting in our bodies are unable to digest the food we're eating. And when we don't digest the food properly, we don't get the nutrients out of it. But the toxins, however, they'll accumulate in our body. Now, our bodies are wonderful, miraculous healing machines, and we process out toxins. But what happens when we're eating processed foods with herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, antibiotics, pharmaceuticals in the water, growth hormones in the meats, we're putting the toxins in faster than the body can get them out. So what does the body do with the excess toxins?
It just puts a little fat cell around it.
You've been listening. You've been reading ahead.
No, I figured that out.
You're right. It wraps the fat cell.
What else would it do with it? You know,
right,
it just stores it somehow.
Exactly. It wraps the fat cell around the molecule and puts it right over here, or right down here, wherever your body stores it. Yeah. And there they sit. Because what happens is I take in toxins at breakfast. And the body says, no problem. We start processing them out. Okay, and then I go out to the fast food joint for lunch. And, more toxins. And the body says, wait a minute, I still got breakfast toxins to get out of the bloodstream and the lymph nodes and all. So it takes that fat molecule, wraps it around it. As these toxins accumulate, and they'll accumulate in the intestines, they accumulate all through the body. As these toxins accumulate, our body has more and more trouble digesting foods because it's dealing with the toxins. And when we don't digest the foods properly, we don't get nourishment. And thus we go, and that's why I call it a spiral death loop.
And what you've said in previous episodes about raw foods having their own digestive enzymes in the makeup of that raw food that get killed when you cook the food.
And thus that's just more work on the body.
On the body at the same time. That's why you can't digest it and get the right nutrition out of the food.
Right.
And it just adds on and adds on and adds on.
So that's where, I had a phone call yesterday. Somebody says, what's that quote you use on the air all the time? Which is, raw when possible, organic when practical, and I pray over the rest. Okay, that gives us the digestive enzymes, the raw part, and the organic part reduces the pollutants. I'm not saying that organic food is 100% toxin-free.
No.
Because, the farther east you live in America, the more toxins, toxins come in the rainwater. We had a discussion yesterday about rainwater and drinking it.
It used to be the norm for people to drink rainwater.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would do that.
The rain is acidic nowadays. The rain is cleaning toxins out of the air for us all the time. Okay?
Yeah.
We're inhaling toxins. But our body can deal with it, but on the standard American diet, we're overloading our body. And that's where Dr. Ann Swigmore comes in. Okay, toxemia and deficiency. The toxemia, toxins, and deficiency, vitamin deficiency. What she did is with blended foods, lightly fermented foods, with dehydrated foods, with, let me cheat, look at the book. I know I'm missing
Fermenting.
Fermenting, sprouting.
And sprouting.
And the sprouts. This is all easily digested nutrition, especially that's where the blender comes in. Chew every bite of food until it's liquid in your mouth. We don't do that. We're a nation of gulpers. We are munch, munch, munch. I watch people, and it's 3, 4, 5 bites, and it's down there. Well, digestion starts in the mouth. There's a chemical secreted by the saliva that starts the digestion. That's part of the chewing. We don't do that. So if you run it through a blender, it's partially digested. That's why I've been telling you, chew your blended foods because you want that saliva to get going. Okay, but when it gets inside of my body, in my stomach, and especially as it gets into my intestines, my colon, the body can get the nutrition out a lot better because we've started the digestion process in the blender.
Plus which these foods are not overwhelmed with their own, they're not bringing more toxins in if you use the organic.
So what happens here is the body never sits around and says, oh, nothing to do this meal. The body says, oh, look, I don't have to make the enzymes. I don't have to process out the toxins. What do? And it says, oh, about that fat molecule I stored over here last night. And it goes back to that the last one in is the first one out in the body. So it goes back to that last fat molecule, strips the fat away, processes out the toxin, that goes out through the bladder, kidneys, whatever. And boom, that toxin is gone.
So, are you saying that when a person begins this lifestyle the first week or two, and if they're really good at it and do a lot of the different menu items that we've looked at, that they may experience some detox?
There's detoxification and there's weight loss.
Symptoms, yeah.
Yeah. And let's talk the weight loss first.
Okay.
As I process out all that fat, as I process out those toxins, the body eliminates that fat too. That's where when I went on the lifestyle, I lost 20 pounds in the first 2 weeks, 30 pounds in the first month. We talked about that in a previous episode. That's why. It wasn't that this is a big fat burner diet. It's a detoxification program. And by putting that easily digested, non-toxic food in, the body says, oh, let's get rid of these old toxins. So that's the first part of it.
And some people have years and years and years of old toxins buried deeply within their body.
And then the second part that happens, like you said, was we detoxify when we have symptoms. And in your case, you were having the hot, cold flashes. You were detoxing menopause. No.
I thought I'd finished the menopause thing, but the way I figured it out. And that, I really had thought I'd finished it, but no, the food was making me more youthful, so I was going back in time a little bit, and I had to redo that menopause stuff.
Yeah, you're living it through in reverse. Just be careful about getting pregnant now.
We don't want that to happen.
In my case, when I detoxified, when I was in the military, the Navy had me prepared to go anywhere. Okay, so we had all the inoculations for anywhere in the world because you don't know where you're going to be next week. Yellow plague, black plague, yellow fever, typhoid, diphtheria, multiple times, cholera. I mean, if you can think of it, I've had it. Tuberculosis, I think they gave me a TB shot twice, and I'd had a TB shot to get in.
Yeah.
And when you'd have those shots, they always gave them to us on a Friday afternoon because you spent the weekend in bed.
You're going to be sick.
Because you had a mild case of black plague. You had a mild case of yellow fever. They call that mild. I don't want to have the real thing because I was yellow. Okay.
Really sick.
We all were, yeah. When I went through Dr. Ann's program, now again, because that happened when I was 17, 18 years old, that was as I got into this a month, 6 weeks, 2 months in.
Sure.
I'd have an afternoon. Now, not a 3-day period, but I would have an afternoon like, oh, I'm having yellow fever again. Much milder.
Oh, so it would reoccur over a period of time.
As that toxin is processing through, that the residue from those inoculations. And we won't even get into the toxicity of inoculations and vaccinations, but as that's processing back through, I had a milder case for a shorter period of time. I got up in the morning and I really felt crummy. I was having black plague again. And I went to Don Hoy, the founder of Creative Health, and I said, I haven't had a headache for years. Should I take a couple aspirin? He said, no. He said, you're probably detoxifying. Go lay down. I did. I went back to bed. I got up at noon. I was fine. Like nothing happened. And then thinking back, I said, oh yeah, that's just like I was with Black Plague.
So that explains why in the beginning when I first started the green smoothies and the dehydrated food and eating more vegetables raw, that every few days or so I might spike a little fever.
Yep. Another toxin. I mean,
working its way out.
And I even re-experienced recreational drugs. I mean, I grew up in the 60s and all that stuff was around, and mild cases of the same thing. Every sickness, illness I had, every recreational drug I'd experienced, every hangover I'd had in the service, I mean, all that stuff, you know, we were young, and especially I was young in the military, what do you expect? Those things came back again, but for briefer periods, and this was the body detoxifying, is normal.
Stay tuned for more Grassy Roots after these words from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Carey, and sitting in front of me is Dr. Ann Wigmore's Raw Living Foods Lifestyle Home Study Program. Dr. Ann's program has been taught for over 50 years around the world at a half a dozen institutes. Normally you go, you spend 2 weeks, and you learn to do the program. However, when I was director of Creative Health Institute, I found that after you go home, you've been home for 6 months, a year, all that knowledge starts to fade. There's a need for being able to refresh your memory and a need for keeping inspired. So, over the course of the last 6 years, I put together a home study version of Dr. Ann's program, and this is it in front of you. I know, it's a lot. It's a 304-page handbook. It covers everything from the kind of water to drink, through energy soup, to how you combine your foods. There's a 180-page recipe book that covers everything from a raw breakfast through a raw dessert after supper and everything in the middle. Even has Thanksgiving dinner, an all-raw Thanksgiving dinner with mock turkey. Her basic program is in this 10 DVD set right here. But as you get into it, you get into questions, and you know, it's always like about having a second opinion, about having more details, and that's what the rest of this program is. Over here we have the advantages of eating raw, a video I did, one by Paul Nissan, a couple by Victoria Butenko, including her famous one, Greens Can Save Your Life. That's a 3-hour video. I know it's Victoria's #1 seller. This is all part of the home study program. A couple videos on wheatgrass, a couple videos on sprouting and gardening, a number of videos about Rejuvelac, lightly fermented foods, and energy soup. A couple more Dr. Ann videos, her TV interview. These 4 here are all about the benefits of the lifestyle. This one called Program Review, for example, is an overview of the program at Creative Health Institute. Enzymes in food, living foods preparation, raw parenting, which is important to many people. Student testimonials, colon health, transitioning to raw foods, food combining with Dr. Pfeiffer. It's as thorough as I've been able to make it in the last 6 years. Oh, and I almost forgot, 2 of Dr. Ann's books on tape, read by a professional radio announcer, Steve Monkevitz, a naturopathic doctor that happens to believe in Dr. Ann, so that shows in his voice. I mean, that's a 5 CD set, the other's a 3 CD set. This is the most thorough thing you will ever see to learn about Dr. Ann's Raw Living Foods lifestyle. It's available at shediet.com, and actually, when you go to the website, you'll find there's even more bonuses over and above this. Thank you.
Looking for a comprehensive guide on the subject of the raw foods lifestyle? Susan Shank has written an encyclopedia on the subject, The Live Food Factor. This comprehensive guide to the ultimate diet for body, mind, spirit, and planet covers every possible factor related to the subject. This compilation has received rave reviews by those in the raw foods movement. Visit www.livefoodfactor.com for your copy. The Live Food Factor by Susan Shank.
You're not going to cook anymore? How will I live?
I didn't say that I wasn't going to cook for you anymore. I said that I wasn't going to cook the vegetables anymore. And I said we're going to cut back on the red meat for a while.
Where in the world did you get this idea?
I've been reading some of the articles that are posted on rawdoctors.com, and they make a lot of sense. You've got aches and pains, I got high blood pressure, and it's time that we did something about our health. So this is what I'm going to do. Come on, do it just for a little while, sweetie.
To learn what Susan has learned and more, visit rawdoctors.com. And now, back to Grassy Roots on Channel 6 TV with Beth Overgaauw and Jim Carey.
I'm not saying don't, if you start doing the lifestyle and you start feeling ill, I'm not saying don't go to the doctor.
Right.
Okay, that's personal choice. But like you have a spike here, and then what, it was a few more days? Mm-hmm. And then...
And it could also depend on what I'm eating during that 3-day period.
Yeah. The other thing that'll happen too is if you've been highly raw, especially if you've been 100% raw for a few weeks, go put a fast food greasy hamburger, even a few bites of it in your body.
And see what happens. Just experiment a little bit.
You're not going to feel good, okay? And that's the body saying, ooh, toxins. So that's not detoxifying. That's the body reacting to not good input. Okay. My first experience after my first full summer at Creative Health, I was 100% raw for like 5 months. I went back home to Georgia, and of course the church has this big welcome home gym party on Sunday. So I go to the church social, and we made your favorite food, and I go, I was never a fan of fried chicken. And despite everything we said last week about 12 steps, sometime for little old Sister Bessie, 82 years old, I had a few bites of this. I had a few bites of that. I made it home before I barfed it up in the front yard. I'm just back to the farmhouse. Yeah, and I sicked it all back up. The body really says, ooh. And then you start thinking about, remember when you fed your young'uns cooked foods for the first time? And they spit it out and they go nasty and then they get sick? That's their body reacting to a foreign substance. Call it a toxin. Okay, but eventually the body adjusts to anything. It's just like you smoke your first cigarette, you about die coughing.
Oh, yeah.
And then next thing you know, people are smoking 3 packs a day. The body will adjust to anything. And that's part of detoxifying too. It's called homeostasis.
Right.
Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
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 And the body as a survival mechanism says whatever I'm doing now is normal. And when you try to change that, the body starts going like that. So
until it gets normal, what it thinks is normal again.
And studies have shown that the basic period of time of that is 3 weeks. In other words, and think of it this way, is when you buy a new house, and it used to be when you left work, you turned right to go home, and now you have to turn left to go home. For 3 weeks, it feels funny to turn left. More than once, you're going to turn right and have to turn around and go back. And so I say it's homeostasis in the body. It's also in the brain. And it's about 3 weeks before a new habit pattern feels normal. Okay, statistically, they say it's 21 days.
Now, if you're extremely obese and you really grab hold of the program, it's going to take longer to lose the weight. You've got a lot more fat cells that toxins are wrapped around. Will the detoxing last as long as you're losing the weight?
It has to do with when the toxins were ingested in the body.
Okay.
That's, to wit, I didn't have many detox symptoms until I got into my 2nd month.
Okay.
By the time I got in, because the first month I lost 30 pounds, but that was basically the weight I gained when I quit smoking in 99. As I got into, maybe it was even the 3rd month, that's when I started detoxing all the stuff from my 20s, okay? Because at that point I was 52, 53 years old. So it took me a few months to get back in the 20s. That's when I really went through my detox, because I'd been living a pretty clean, what I thought was healthy life. I was very active. I mean, I was in my 40s and I could still shinny up the top of a 50-foot sailboat mast, hold on with my knees and fix the masthead. Thought I was fit, I was overweight. A lot of that weight came from quitting smoking, but I wasn't doing drugs, I wasn't drinking alcohol.
You cleaned up your act a bit.
I'd cleaned up my body, yeah. So as far as your question goes to obese people and detoxification, there's always a detox at first because of homeostasis. The body says, this is weird. Okay, once you get past that period, 2-3 weeks out, you'll be stable until you hit, those pharmaceuticals and those pharmaceuticals. And yet, it's sort of like any time-release drug. You're probably detoxifying a certain amount all the time because
All the
that was
time,
your
sure.
normal drug intake. If you were on Librium, Valium, something like that, you'll be detoxing that, but you probably won't see a spike because you're taking it constantly. But these are things to be aware of. And yet, this is our body getting healthy.
That's right. That's what to keep in mind when
Yeah.
you go through these detoxing symptoms, is that it's your body reacting to the fact you're giving it good food to eat.
I didn't get that way overnight. I'm not going to get well overnight.
Right.
Right. And I went through symptoms to get there. But I can't overemphasize the fact that it's much milder and a much shorter period of time.
Now, once you've gotten to a level where you're mostly pure and clean again, what do all those good natural foods you're eating do for you?
Now the body can start rebuilding itself. And again, the weight loss comes in as an indicator. Even people that are at a good weight, whatever weight you're at, if this is your ideal weight, you do tend to fall below it a bit.
Okay.
Okay, but you'll come back up and you'll stabilize at your ideal weight. That's what happened to me. I got to 170. And while that's 5 pounds overweight for my height, you could argue my muscle mass makes it different because I have been very active and people, like, I'm the guy though, I twist the lid off the jar for everybody.
Okay.
You know, you take the skin off my hands sometimes, but that's how sorry. So I just stable at 170, I could eat everything in sight.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but it was all raw living foods, and actually you can tell you're overeating by the size of the bowel movement because I was eating more than I needed, but the body passed it through. Plant-based fats don't accumulate like the animal-based fats. That's why when we talk on the uncooking part of the show, that's why I'm totally against all the oils. That's why I say it's transitional, because those oils will accumulate and they block the pores, they block other functions in the body. But if it's extra virgin olive oil as a salad dressing versus
Animal-based oil.
anything that comes in a regular bottle, fat-free or not, okay, 200 calories per teaspoonful, use the extra virgin olive oil. It's transitional, but you'll get to the point you don't need that. And again, that's where the cells start opening up. Not only does the body feel better, but you notice that you start feeling younger. People comment that your hair is getting darker.
Ann Wigmore.
84 years old, brown hair.
Yeah, she had brown hair.
All white at 80, yeah. And more than once they sent that hair out for testing. People couldn't believe it. Laboratory testing, and no, she wasn't using a rinse to dye, even a natural rinse or dye. Her hair got darker. And it shows in your skin gets elasticity back, but here's the biggest part, and this is hard to share. You get smarter.
That'd be cool.
You get your retention is better and your mental attitude is better. You're happier. You just feel better about things. Life is fun all of a sudden. You just feel better. And that's something, I mean, what do we do on the websites, the testimonials? The weight loss is the first thing we show, okay? I've received a number of emails in the last few weeks. People noticed that in the photograph I wore glasses. Yeah, by the time I was 48 years old, I wore glasses all the time, okay?
And you didn't have surgery on your eyes then?
No, I did not have surgery in my eyes. And, well, I put this book in a larger typeface, but I can read your standard paperback novel that you buy at the airport. I don't need glasses to read, okay?
And you don't drive with glasses?
No. I used to have glasses to drive. I was 20/80, 2100. I'm on the borderline now.
That's not so bad, but it healed you. Now you don't need that.
At 2040, okay, in Georgia at least, where my license is, at 2020 is perfect vision. At 2040, you don't need glasses.
Right.
I was better than 2040, and I have been I've had my license 4 years now. So 2 years on the program, and I was better than 2040, and I didn't need glasses
Was that
anymore.
an amazing discovery? Or did you just wake up one morning and realize, I don't need my glasses?
I noticed that I need them. I didn't realize how much better it got until I went to driver's license bureau. In these small towns with no line, the girl said, I noticed you put your glasses on to read that. And I said, oh yeah, I can't drive without them. She says, well, just for the heck of it, try it without. And I said, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, I can still see it. He says, that's more than good enough to drive. He says, you don't need that. They took the restriction off my license.
Well.
Yeah, and that was 4 years ago. Your eyesight gets better. I think my hearing's better.
Now that I'd like to have happen.
Sense of smell. It's funny, I belong to a church that advocated vegetarianism and no smoking for all its members. And I could walk up the aisle in church and tell by smelling the children who smoked in church. But part of that is that I'm a reformed smoker, and I'm a bit of a jerk about it sometimes.
Yeah.
It took me a year to quit, but so I say if I can quit, anybody can. But you know, I heard that a bunch too.
Oh, yeah.
I smoked for 40 years, going on 40 years. I started in high school. I went to high school in Canada, and it was okay to smoke at 14. I started at 13, got in a lot of trouble.
For that 1 year difference.
But all these things, your body will heal itself and continue to heal itself. That's why at 58 years old, I know I'm in my second 50 years. Yeah, because
And you know what, this is
good.
not really new news, because I've seen quotes from Hippocrates. I mean, that's a long time ago.
Turn to page 3 of the book.
Okay, page 3?
Just the next page.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I consider that page 1.
Okay. Okay, in 400 BC, Hippocrates said, "Let food be your medicine and medicine be your food."
And the last sentence of this paragraph, you want me to read it?
Oh,
Want me to hold it where you can see it?
Yeah. I can see it. I've got, my eyes are not too bad yet. It has been proven over and over again that when the body receives ample and balanced nourishment, that there is no desire for stimulants.
Time and again at Creative Health Institute, especially I'd have people come there that they were blackmailed in by their daughters. I got that a lot. Is, Mom, if you don't get healthy, you're not going to be around for the grandkids. So I bought you a gift certificate for Creative Health Institute. And if you don't do the program, you can't see your grandkids. Blackmail.
Sounds like a threat to me.
So Mom goes, she loves the grandkids, right? Not only does Mom drop the weight and different things, but Mom accidentally quit smoking. I've seen that. I've seen that numerous times. At the end of the 2-week program, they say, hey, I just realized I haven't had a cigarette for a week and I don't miss them. They came in smoking. Of course, I didn't. We own the whole town. I wouldn't let anybody smoke in town, but the city limits are just a few hundred yards across the bridge. So I didn't make it easy for them to smoke.
Right.
Okay, not in the parking lot, nowhere outside. You had to leave the city limits. I was the town sheriff. And Don, the owner, he was a mayor, and he passed an ordinance and I enforced it. But they quit smoking by accident. And I would have emails since my husband came home, he hasn't had a beer in a month. He says he's not interested. He quit drinking by accident.
Your brain chemistry has changed.
Right. As our bodies become more alkaline, these needs for stimulants for diversions just disappears, and we become happy with being ourselves. So suddenly, like the title of page 3 says, what's the basic cause of addictions? Toxemia and deficiency. So as we eat better, all these other things go by accident.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really cool, Beth.
And again, it's not new news, it's just news people maybe have kept out of touch with because of the way the times and history has
The
gone.
funny thing is that when I grew up, I heard my mother would tell my grandmother, especially my great-grandmother, oh, those are just old wives' tales.
Yeah.
As I got into Dr. Ann's program, as I started questioning everything in my life, oh gosh, what a concept, question everything, find your own answers. More and more, I found that great-grandma was right. Okay, this thing about chewing your food, oh, she was right. Okay. This thing about balanced diets of natural foods, and I think my great-grandma lived on a farm in Leamington, Ontario, Canada, and we ate mostly, for 9 months out of the year, we ate fresh off the farm.
Right.
And even the rest of the year, it was potatoes under the sink that we had grown, tomatoes that she had canned, and we had a very natural diet. It was very simple. If we had meat, it was on Sunday.
Right.
And it was usually some old rooster, or especially some old laying hen that had given up laying. And you know how you cook a 4-year-old chicken? You boil it all afternoon. Okay, these fryers that you pop in the oven for 20 minutes or whatever, those chickens are 6 months, 9 months old. Okay, they're so young, they've never been out of a cage, and they're full of chemicals, and they're artificially fattened. No, a farm chicken was, you know, so even when we did have meat, can I have some more broccoli, please?
Well, you know, in this day and age, we have so many flavors we've gotten used to having. And a lot of it has been put on sauces that have been put on meat. Well, since I've been experimenting with the raw foods lifestyle, I've found that you can use the same spices and put it on a vegetarian dish, and it tastes just like a meat dish without the meat.
Use a lot less.
Yeah, you don't need as many spices.
Well, like I've been saying, there is a raw substitute for everything. I'll put it on GrassyRoots.com. I have a recipe for a 7-course Thanksgiving dinner. Mock turkey, mock mashed potatoes, mock gravy, but a mock pumpkin pie. But it's all about the spices. Okay, and that's where that's one of my weaknesses, is that I've never been a food prep person, so that's the part of the recipe book I have to use.
Right.
Because I have no idea the spices. I've seen you out in the kitchen and say, oh, you know, a little bit of sage or a little bit of thyme, and you're right, it's amazing. But you have that taste, that gift. And that's what makes the raw dishes. Because you're right, we have, like I said last week, cooked food's an addiction. We have addictions to taste that we never got in nature, like vanilla, but there are natural ways to get that taste. So you don't have to give up anything to eat better and be healthier. All you have to do is find the substitute.
Well, speaking of tastes, I think it's about time we head into the kitchen and come up with a recipe to share with our viewers for today.
Okay, I think we can surprise them again.
Okay, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with our food prep segment on Grassy Roots.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to learn more about a raw living foods lifestyle? There's a wide collection of videos on the subject at ChiDietVideos.com. You can find a video on any subject that suits your interest and your budget, including rare footage of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Raw Living Food Lifestyle programs. This knowledge could change your life. Check out ChiDietVideos.com.
One of the best things terrorists could do is just build more fast food restaurants, maybe add another pharmaceutical company, have a couple more infomercials, and encourage people to eat the way they eat now. And everybody's going to be dead in 100 years. They can just walk right in, don't have to do a thing.
Supersize large 5 Big Mac, Coca-Cola, go on, man. Pick your poison.
1/4 of what you eat keeps you alive, and 3/4 of what you eat keeps your doctor alive.
I used to get high for a living, eating on the bullshit food they sold me.
Cancer rates going up, heart disease going up, stroke going up.
We're poisoning ourselves with highly processed, nutrient-depleted foods.
One of the major problems is what we do to the soil and the air and the water and everything we take in our food.
We, for whatever reason, decided we're going to spray everything with every kind of pesticide, herbicide, larvicide, fungicide. We decided we're going to genetically modify things we don't know anything about. Can we actually improve what has already been created? And the answer is maybe, but not the way we've been doing it.
If you want to know what's wrong, look down at the table. It's staring back at you.
Think of it as chronic malnutrition, because that's what's going on.
But if we think we're going to go to the doctor and get a pill for everything, we've missed the whole point. We have been taught our whole lives to be consumers of modern medicine, which is pharmaceutical medicine. Good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars.
No, the drug industry has every right to make money, no question about that at all. The ethics, I think, need to be very closely watched.
What the pharmaceutical companies are doing may not necessarily be in the interest of our population.
You can be as sincere, and you can be sincerely wrong.
Approximately 106,000 Americans die from pharmaceutical drugs each year. And these are people who took the medication as directed.
There's a lot more turning to alternatives because what's being done beforehand doesn't work.
There is no magic bullet, but there is a lifestyle change that reverses serious chronic disease. It's cheap, it's simple, it's safe, it's effective.
The solutions are here. They've always been here. Every single person in the world, every culture, every language, every person in the world knows it. You are what you eat. Food does matter.
It's a choice. You don't have to be sick.
For a full-length DVD copy of Food Matters, go to grassyroots.com/food. And now, back to Grassy Roots on Channel 6 TV.
Well, hello, Jim.
What happened to your hair?
Well, I thought since I'm going to become this big food prep person, I should do what they tell you to do and pull your hair back. Because I think everybody that works in a restaurant has to have a hat on, or there's some.
I was going to say, you're missing the little lunch lady.
I'll wear one if you find one for me. I think
I don't mind picking your hair out of my food. Hey,
okay.
I used to live with Lulabelle the Wonder Dog. I picked her hair out of my food.
That's true.
This is down home cooked. This is down home food prep and uncooking.
Okay.
Yeah. For regular people.
For regular people,
Ain't the school lunchroom.
We don't cook the hair though. It's uncooked hair.
It's raw. It must have the enzymes still in it.
Making it more digestible. Okay. Well, I looked through the cookbook and chose today's recipe, which I think I'm going to do more and more of because I remember one of the early episodes. You mentioned that you were a bachelor. And therefore, as a bachelor, you chose to cook the simplest, most uncomplicated, prepare the simplest, most uncomplicated things you could prepare. And that you edited this book. And those were like 2 clues to me that maybe...
I learned all about food prep when I was director at Creative Health Institute. The truth is, we've done all 4 of my recipes. I got one more. I'm holding it back.
Oh, okay.
I've got one fancy food recipe.
You know all the recipes. You've seen others do them all.
I'm going to hold on to it, though. That way it guarantees me a second seson, doesn't it?
Yeah, because I'm dying of curiosity. I mean, we've done the green smoothie and the crackers. But I picked one today that sounded interesting because it sounds like a good lunch or a good mock chicken salad.
Like I said, there's a substitute for everything.
Yeah.
You got it.
I got all the ingredients here. You can see that it's got 3 kinds. Well, it's got a seed, which technically I guess they're all seeds. Let's see, sunflower seeds.
If you have to look in the book into that sunflower seeds. Sesame are a lot smaller. Yeah.
Okay, sunflower seeds, cashews, and these are unroasted and unsalted.
Right. And I got those at Whole Foods. They're hard to find unsalted.
They are, yeah.
It's unroasted. Cashews are technically all cooked foods because they steam them to get them out of the shell. They're liquid in the shell. But it's a transitional food. I love them. But unsalted is hard to find outside of a good health food store.
And of course, there are some pecan. We're going to supposedly, after we get this mix all mixed together, make us either a stuffed avocado or a stuffed tomato. And I had small tomatoes already here. I thought they were bigger when I was at the store, so I didn't buy any more.
You know what we call stuffed avocados, especially this kind, the Haas avocado, what I call California avocados.
What?
Because the Florida ones are the green, smooth green skin. When we stuff those, we call them alligator eggs.
Oh, that'd be cute. Do you take the avocado out of it to stuff them, or you kind of leave that in there too?
You're the one reading the recipe book.
It didn't say.
Oh, well, okay, I'll help you with it.
All right. Oh, good. Because you've seen it done before.
Oh, yeah, I'm not big on doing this, but I've hung out with, is the supper ready yet?
And there's one piece I've left down here. I got to get a stick of celery.
I'll get the celery.
Okay.
Yeah, we got that good organic one.
Yeah, we do. And 1 stick of celery, and you can rinse it off because I haven't done that. And I noticed in the recipe that it did call for curry powder. And I didn't, it's a product of India usually when you buy curry powder.
Well, anything transitional, anything spicy, of course, is transitional. So if you have a significant health challenge, I'd leave it out. The recipe will still be good.
Right.
But for those that like the extra spicy, not going to hurt you.
No.
Not gonna
And
hurt you.
it's just a quarter of a teaspoon. And then finally, there is some dill. Not finally, but there's the dill. While you're at it, get the lemon out too.
Yes, ma'am.
And some lemon.
Yes, ma'am.
And the major ingredient, I guess, in this whole thing is a cucumber. And it says to peel it, which I'll just start doing that right now, to get the skin off of it. And we know that even if you get an organic cucumber, do you think it's wise to peel them?
Definitely you want to wash them, because even the organics, the stores tend to put they tend to oil them with a soy-based oil to make them shiny.
Mm-hmm.
That one I don't think was, but even organic, they tend to oil them. So you want to use something like the Fit Wash to clean it off. But I peel them. That takes care of all the other whatevers. Well, we did that in the salad show once.
Yeah.
Sometimes I peel them, and sometimes they go au naturel.
And then it said to seed them too. And I know that if I go to a chef at a major restaurant somewhere, they'd show me the optimum way to seed a cucumber. I know sushi chefs know how to do it because they never get any seed in their cucumbers. But what I'm going to do is just slice it in quarters and then cut the seeds out, along the edge there. I think that would be the easiest way. Let's go and get all 4 quarters done.
And you know how I would shortcut this recipe.
How do you shortcut this recipe?
I leave seeds in.
You leave the seeds in. Well,
this is supposed to be quick and easy food prep. But
it's not going to take
But you're
that
doing
long.
the gourmet thing, and that's wondrous.
It's not
I think it's great. Yeah.
This is just my garbage bowl, since I'm not doing it over the sink. Whoa, look at those seeds. Well, there's got to be. It's been amazing to me that our viewers have not written in with their own suggestions on how we should use knives.
They're probably just still shaking their head in
Go ahead.
amazement.
And it says to cut it up. Go ahead and put it in the little blender.
They probably figure at their age, if they haven't figured it out, there's no teaching them. I saw you had a T-shirt the other day that says "runs with scissors," so we know where you're coming from. Me, I'm just a skydiver.
Yeah,
Same difference.
Now, put all ingredients in a food processor and pulse chop until everything is chopped fine to medium. Well, my food processor is a little small, so I'm going to go ahead and do the cucumbers first, and get the onions in there and the celery in there, and then do the nuts separate and then stir them together. I think that would make it go better. So, and it just said to put the celery in there and chopped up little pieces too. There's our stick of organic celery. What do you know about celery? When I was a little girl, I thought it had no value at all. It was just a bunch of water.
Actually, what I've read about Dr. Ann and other places is a stick of celery is really good every day. Now, I don't remember what nutrients were in it, but a stick of celery a day was good for your dietary balance. Yeah, so I usually throw it in a smoothie.
Now, I do know, as a kindergarten teacher, I have to bring that out once in a while.
I know it's a great prop as a kindergarten teacher.
No, it was more than that. It was a science experiment.
Oh.
We would teach how plants gathered water from the soil by putting red food coloring in the water and then sticking the celery in.
I did not know that. And the red dye comes up and it wicks up because it's still a living food. Oh gosh, your science project proved my premise.
It is. That's right.
It's still a living food.
That's true. It still soaked it right up, and you'd see the red lines come up the celery stalk.
Another good fun science experiment about living foods is take a sprout, especially sunflower sprouts. After you harvest them and lay them on a tray, as the sun goes by a window, they will follow the sun on the 5th day, they pretty much wither up and stop. So even after you harvest your sunflower sprouts, for example, they're still living food for 5 days. Especially they're still a good food for probably 3 to 4.
Right. I'm going to make some noise now.
Okay.
Here we go.
One of the best things terrorists could do is just build more fast food restaurants, maybe add another pharmaceutical company, have a couple more infomercials, and encourage people to eat the way they eat now. And everybody's going to be dead in 100 years. They can just walk right in, don't have to do a thing.
Supersize large fry, Big Mac, Coca-Cola, go on, man. Pick your poison.
1/4 of what you eat keeps you alive, and 3/4 of what you eat keeps your doctor alive.
I used to get high for a living, eating all the bullshit food they sold me.
Cancer rates going up, heart disease going up, stroke going up.
We're poisoning ourselves with highly processed, nutrient-depleted foods.
One of the major problems is what we do to the soil and the air and the water and everything we take in, our food.
We, for whatever reason, decided we're going to spray everything with every kind of pesticide, herbicide, larvicide, fungicide. We decided we're going to genetically modify things we don't know anything about. Can we actually improve what has already been created? And the answer is maybe, but not the way we've been doing it.
If you want to know what's wrong, look down at the table. It's staring back at you.
Think of it as chronic malnutrition, because that's what's going on.
But if we think we're going to go to the doctor and get a pill for everything, we've missed the whole point. We have been taught our whole lives to be consumers of modern medicine, which is pharmaceutical medicine. Good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars.
Now, the drug industry has every right to make money, no question about that at all. The ethics, I think, need to be very closely watched.
What the pharmaceutical companies are doing may not necessarily be in the interest of our population.
You can be as sincere, and you can be sincerely wrong.
Approximately 106,000 Americans die from pharmaceutical drugs each year. And these are people who took the medication as directed.
There's a lot more turning to alternatives because what's being done beforehand doesn't work.
There is no magic bullet, but there is a lifestyle change that reverses serious chronic disease. It's cheap, it's simple, it's safe, it's effective.
The solutions are here. They've always been here. Every single person in the world, every culture, every language, every person in the world knows it. You are what you eat. Food does matter.
It's a choice. You don't have to be sick.
For a full-length DVD copy of Food Matters, go to grassyroots.com/food.
You're not going to cook anymore? How will I live?
I didn't say that I wasn't going to cook for you anymore. I said that I wasn't going to cook the vegetables anymore. And I said we're going to cut back on the red meat for a while.
Where in the world did you get this idea?
I've been reading some of the articles that are posted on rawdoctors.com, and they make a lot of sense. You've got aches and pains, I got high blood pressure, and it's time that we did something about our health. So this is what I'm going to do. Come on, do it just for a little while, sweetie.
To learn what Susan has learned and more, visit rawdoctors.com. It's still moving.
It's going down.
I believe that does it. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that lovely? Let's keep using this.
And keep reading, huh? Okay.
Okay.
Everything in the bowl is in the food processor. Yeah.
Up and with the blade.
Better than the
Every
times you
time I
don't put
use
it in
this-
at all.
I was going to say, every time I use this thing, I do something stupid with it.
Just don't cut yourself like I did a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wear the Band-Aid for 3 days. That thing is sharp.
Okay. Now, here goes the pecans. And these...
Walnuts.
No, they're pecans.
I
Don't confuse
know.
me.
Pecans look like whatever I said before.
You're from Georgia.
Trilobites.
You should recognize
I
pecans.
know. I wasn't thinking.
Oh, okay.
Pecans look like trilobites, and walnuts look like lungs.
Okay. We may as well throw this in there. Well, it's...
She keeps wondering where her ingredients have been going. They haven't had. We're making lunch for the staff, so they haven't fed me yet today.
There we go. Okay, here we go. Now look, that. Your nuts will really pop up in these things. Let's stir it up a little bit. I may have to, if I keep at this for my own personal
I'll bring you
use,
the large food
Yep, I may
processor
have to invest in
from the
large
cabin.
one.
Yeah.
Or if anybody wants to donate one for future scientific research. Because that's all this is for me. It's science that proves healthy living.
GrassyRoots.com. Contact us.
I think that'll be better. Because it's too full. Besides that, I like a
Getting
big
really
chunk
dry
of
in
nut
there,
once in a
yeah.
while.
You're going to have to take that blade out and all to get it to come.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got all kinds. We got finely ground.
And that's another reason that when it gets that full, I've learned to dump it out, stir it, and do it again.
And you know, I could practice these recipes before we videotape and stuff, but I figure I should that it's more authentic to illustrate what the actual person at home might experience.
Well, you're being a great student. And like you say, if you did it at home the first time, this is what you go through. So,
yeah.
We're doing reality television.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, now we should be charging a premium.
Now, okay, there goes the spice that's going to create this.
Now, what was the secret you were showing me about using the teaspoon thing?
Well, sometimes it calls for rounded, which would be that.
Right.
And then, let's see.
And sometimes it calls for level.
Level. And I just wondered, as a man, if you knew that. I was trying to be.
Yes. Level teaspoon and rounded teaspoon.
And it didn't say one way or the other here, but since we are not sure we want a whole lot of curry.
It's easy to add more than it is to take it out.
That's right. I went with a.
And let's see, what offsets curry? It's in the book.
Oh, yeah.
Fats offset spices, yeah.
And the avocado that we're going to stuff in is a fat, so.
Yeah.
That's true. And the last thing is the lemon, I think. You want to read down my list and see if I've left out
Sunflower,
anything.
cashews, cucumber, peeled and seeded, cut into chunks, 2 green onions, 1 cup of pecans, 1 celery stick. You know what? I'll put this recipe on the website.
Good idea.
GrassyRoots.com/recipes. Dried dill. Did you get your dill?
Yep.
And curry powder and juice of a half a lemon.
And here goes the juice of the half a lemon. Ooh, that smells good.
Now, would you like the rest of the juice?
Go ahead. I'll be cutting this avocado.
You did pretty good. I only got like another quart out of it. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Hope we got a ripe one this time.
Well, we did. Whoops. Oh, but what do I do with this piece of avocado that sort of stuck to the seed? Want me to just mix it in there?
Oh yeah, I just scrape it off.
And
what I can't scrape off, I just pop the seed in my mouth and...
Yeah, thank you. With a stuffed tomato, see, you can probably load on more of the salad. And since there's no avocado with the stuffed tomato, I'll throw that on there too, just for a little extra.
Smells great. Smells really great. Down, Fred.
And to make it pretty, since I had one that didn't. There you go. How about that?
The bachelor always forgets that part.
Okay, there's the other one.
Because presentation is part of, especially special eating like this.
I bet you can eat a lot. Okay, now for the
camera crew's not smiling anymore.
Now for the true.
You're not going to leave us anything.
Yeah.
I'll go for the alligator egg.
Okay, don't eat the shell. I had to say that, just to be silly.
I'm just biting my tongue. That's why I'm so quiet.
Is it good?
Worked for me. Tastes like chicken salad.
Does it
I
really?
didn't see you put the chicken in there.
I didn't.
That's what the curry powder did.
Really? Let me try that.
It's the spices that give you the meat flavors more than anything else.
That's true.
The dill, the curry powder, maybe a bit of the lemon, but it's the dill and curry powder. I've seen the girls, the chefs whip this up in, that's a sexist thing to say.
That's good.
I've seen the chefs do this at Creative Health, and they're playing with the spices to make it taste like salmon pate or chicken salad. It's the spices that are the secret. I don't have that sort of palate, but those that do, I've seen people say, it needs a little sage, and boom, it's perfect.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how you get this. There's a substitute for every animal dish, and it's with the spices, right?
And the nuts. I think the nuts give it that's really good.
Well, the nuts partly give it that body of chicken, Because when you're chewing stick and salad, you're used to having those little pieces of chicken.
Right.
That's why you did good by leaving the nuts as chunky as you did.
Uh-huh.
Because that chunkiness, that's my chicken.
I'm going to take this one to my mama. I'm going to take this one to my mama. Don't want anybody else to get it. They can make their own. Well, I think that's a great one. I'm not even going to dig into the tomato one. I think we know it's good. But stay tuned for future episodes of Grassy Roots for more delicious recipes.
What's next, Beth?
Are you still hungry? And,
good job. I love it.
And we're happy to have you check our website, grassyroots.com, where you will find leads to all kinds of other information, other recipes, and other great ideas for a raw living foods lifestyle.
Aloha.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Carey, and sitting in front of me is Dr. Ann Wigmore's Raw Living Foods Lifestyle Home Study Program. Dr. Ann's program has been taught for over 50 years around the world at a half a dozen institutes. Normally you go, you spend 2 weeks, and you learn to do the program. However, when I was director of Creative Health Institute, I found that after you go home, you've been home for 6 months, a year, all that knowledge starts to fade. There's a need for being able to refresh your memory and a need for keeping inspired. So, over the course of the last 6 years, I put together a home study version of Dr. Ann's program, and this is it in front of you. I know, it's a lot. It's a 304-page handbook. It covers everything from the kind of water to drink, through energy soup, to how you combine your foods. There's a 180-page recipe book that covers everything from a raw breakfast through a raw dessert after supper and everything in the middle. Even has Thanksgiving dinner, an all-raw Thanksgiving dinner with mock turkey. Her basic program is in this 10 DVD set right here. But as you get into it, you get into questions, and you know, it's always like about having a second opinion, about having more details, and that's what the rest of this program is. Over here we have the advantages of eating raw, a video I did, one by Paul Nissan, a couple by Victoria Butenko, including her famous one, Greens Can Save Your Life. That's a 3-hour video. I know it's Victoria's #1 seller. This is all part of the home study program. A couple videos on wheatgrass, a couple videos on sprouting and gardening, a number of videos about Rejuvelac, lightly fermented foods, and energy soup. A couple more Dr. Ann videos, her TV interview. These 4 here are all about the benefits of the lifestyle. This one called Program Review, for example, is an overview of the program at Creative Health Institute. Enzymes in food, living foods preparation, raw parenting, which is important to many people. Student testimonials, colon health, transitioning to raw foods, food combining with Dr. Pfeiffer. It's as thorough as I've been able to make it in the last 6 years. Oh, and I almost forgot, 2 of Dr. Ann's books on tape, read by a professional radio announcer, Steve Molkevitz, a naturopathic doctor that happens to believe in Dr. Ann, so that shows in his voice. I mean, that's a 5 CD set, the other's a 3 CD set. This is the most thorough thing you will ever see to learn about Dr. Ann's Raw Living Foods lifestyle. It's available at shediet.com, and actually, when you go to the website, you'll find there's even more bonuses over and above this. Thank you.
When it comes to obesity, it's not about how much you eat, it's what you eat. Learn more with Beth Overgaauw as she chats with Dr. Jim Carey on Grassy Roots TV, airing Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock on Channel 6 television. Getting back to the roots of healthy eating.